Okay, now we're going to talk about Part B, or I should say Lesson Word B, Part 2. We're going to talk about find and replace and spell and grammar changes. For find and replace, it's a great tool to use in Microsoft Word because it allows you to find a document, text in a document, and instantly replace as many instances as you want of that text. It's really handy in a large document if you've got things you need to replace. For example, in my dissertation, the American Psychological Association decided in their APA Style Guide 6 to add 2 periods at the end of each sentence instead of 1 that we've all been used to for years. So in order to do that, I was able to use find and replace to replace every period that only had 1 space behind it and add 2. And that was more than just doing a word. It actually allowed me to replace a character and spacing in a document. So let me pull up a Word document here. Let's pull up 7 habits. We'll get this over here so you guys can see it. Unselect it. I'm going to look in here, and in order to see this very well, I probably need to expand this a little bit for you to look at it. But in editing, you've got, in a bigger window, it'll just automatically show up. In the smaller window that I've got set up here, I have to click on the drop-down arrow, and you've got find, replace, and select. So I'm going to select find to start with, and what I want it to find is the word habit. Okay, and it's looking for the word habit, and it finds that I have 11 instances of the word habit in this document. Now the next thing you want to think about is if you want to replace it, you click on replace, and it'll bring this window up where you find habit, and we're going to replace it with HABIT. So we'll put a capital B in the middle of it. Find next. So we're going to replace, and you see it's changing it to the habit, HABIT, and then you can actually select replace all. It'll go through your document and replace every instance of the word you want to change with the new text. And it made 11 replacements in that document. It tells you it's all done. Sometimes I'll actually have it go through it one more time and make sure that it catches everything, especially on a large document. So it has everything. It says it's done. You can go ahead and close it. We'll minimize this down and talk some more about this in a minute. So find will help you find the document listings or the document content for specific words, sentences, phrases. Find and replace is what you're going to use to replace that text. Now here's a picture of the find and replace box in Office 2013. You're also going to have the option, if you look at the, let's go back here to the document I had open. If we're going to go to find and replace, we pull that screen up, and you've got this little arrow over here that says more. You actually can do more things. I had it set at less, but you can actually have it match case, find all words. It match suffix, prefix. If you want to change, say you've got a word that you've got non-existent maybe, and you want to put it and make it into re-existent or some other word, you can actually change part of a word. And you can also tell it to ignore punctuation or ignore white space characters. In other words, your paragraphs, your double spacing, things like that. And then if you want to replace format, you can replace anything in your format, or you can set up to replace special. Anything that's listed here, and I know it goes off the screen, there's more items listed here. So that shows you what this more or less tab will do. It shows you more items. And let's minimize this down again. So, and we're looking at this line. They're actually going to replace text. And here's the find where they were looking for, can't see, oh, luncheon. They were looking for the word luncheon. And it pulled it up and said there's one entry of the word luncheon in this document, and it highlighted it and shows it on the left pane and the navigation pane for find, and then it also highlights it in the document on the right hand side. So find and replace the navigation pane, the go to command. You can also use the navigation pane to have it go to a specific page or header. You can have a specific item within your table of contents or a particular item that you want it to go to. So find and replace and go to commands are really, really handy to have. It's a great document. It speeds up your document editing. It speeds up your processes for finding what your document needs. Next we're going to talk about spelling and grammar. So this is one thing that's sorely neglected, especially in undergraduate papers that they write for college classes, is they ignore the flags, they ignore the underlines, they ignore the grammar and the spelling check marks. Grammar and spell checker are not perfect. They're going to possibly flag words that are not incorrect. It may not be. It may be the way you want to use that word in context, and it's also not going to catch everything, because if the word you're using is correct in the context in which you're using it, it's not going to tell you that it's wrong. Or if you use the wrong type of word, such as there, and there, or your and your, or two, or two, it's not going to necessarily always catch if you make those errors. So you can't count on spell check and grammar check 100% of the time. You still need to make sure you proofread. Now, on this document that they show here, they show the word here is inaugural, and they tell you by looking at it that it's misspelled. Gives you the option on the right hand frame over here, the right hand side of the frame, to give you other choices of which word you want. So it tells you to change it, and if you want to hear the word pronounced, you can actually hit the speaker after that. If you want to change all, if the misspelling is a word you're chronically misspelling through the whole document, you can have it change all and it'll fix everything. Or you can leave occurrences unchanged by saying ignore or ignore all. And then if it's a word that, say, the spelling's a little bit funky, it's not a normal word, but it's something you use on a regular basis, a terminology or a name that doesn't quite look right, it'll actually tell you you can add it to the dictionary by clicking on this button over here, and then in the future the word will not show up as an error. So inserting text with autocorrect. Autocorrect will fix what you misspell. You can create an autocorrect entry to fix things for you, or you can actually autocorrect as you go along. You can have autocorrect put in a replacement word for anything that you'd want it to. You type the text you want in the autocorrect bar, and then you actually hit the space bar and it automatically puts it in. So that's the basics of autocorrect, spelling and grammar checked, and find and replace.